For my regular YouTube audience, you know what you need to do next to get to the information that you want from this video. But for those who are new to my channel, here are some key points to help you work best with the information in this video. Number 1. Timestamps and other important information can be found in the description to this video. Number 2. The dates of the energies that are unfolding in the week ahead are in the introduction section of this video. Number 3. The degrees of current planet placements and their location in signs are also in the introduction section of this video. Number 4. I'm a personal astrologer giving a general astrology reading in this video. For some people it will resonate. For others, it will not this week due to the influence of planets in your own personal horoscope. It may vary from week to week how much my forecast will resonate with you. If you would like a reading with me to explore your own chart further, the link is also in the description for this video. Number 5. I am using the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis in this video. Number 6. By listening to the introduction, it's going to help you know what's in store for you this week. And then you can go to your sun, moon, and rising signs for more information on what to expect specifically. Number 7. I use both Vedic and Western astrology techniques with what is known as the tropical astrology chart, or, for those who aren't aware, the Western astrology chart. Please explore the placement of your Western or tropical astrology sun, moon, and rising signs using the timestamps for this video. Number 8. Haters and hateful comments will be removed from this video. This is a safe space for everyone who visits here, and like a good bouncer at a nightclub would do, I will eject any haters from this platform. And now here's a final couple of tidbits of information for you about how to use this video. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Astro Weather. I've got a lot to share with you this week, so thanks for joining me. Let's kick it right off by looking at what are some of the events happening in the astral skies this week pertaining to the planets. We've had a comet over the skies here in Australia, may have also been visible in other parts of the world as well. I don't usually speak to comets and such events astrologically here in my videos, but I just thought I'd mention it because it's interesting if you want to step out around sunset and catch a glimpse of the comet. Very, very beautiful. But back to our astral skies with planets and signs. This week on the 21st of October, Mercury will be making a trine to Saturn. Here's Saturn here, and Mercury is down here in Scorpio, both in water signs. Now, I'm not going to talk to this particular combination that's forming on the 21st of October because I'm going to talk about something else for all signs very shortly, but I'm just giving you a heads up. 21st of October, that will be forming, and on the 22nd of October, the Sun is about to move into Scorpio, but before it, so these are the two major energies forming this week, but before the Sun moves into Scorpio, it's going to be making a square aspect to Pluto. And this is what we'll be exploring in great detail this week. 90-degree aspect at 29 degrees of Libra and 29 degrees of Capricorn that will be forming. So, yikes, this one is going to cause power struggles. You might notice this in your personal environment, or you might notice it while you're watching the news and seeing all the clashes and power struggles playing out if you watch mainstream television. Stubbornness is also a hallmark of this combination, so that you might be exposed to stubbornness. You might be exhibiting stubbornness in your own life. You might really also be feeling the pressure now as people seek to manipulate you or coerce you or control you while this energy is forming around the 22nd of October. And you can give kind of a day before or a day after to that energy as well. It may even last kind of longer, maybe 5 days or so, until the aspect weakens. So be aware this week, this is what the predominant energy will be. And how do we deal with this? Well, I'd suggest use this energy of power, because Pluto empowers whatever it touches, the sun illuminates whatever it touches. So we're going to be seeing a lot more power struggles and a lot more manipulation and deep dark Plutonian stuff being illuminated, but it's going to be a bit hard to deal with, like hard to cope with emotionally perhaps, and that sort of thing. But what we can do is direct this heightened power into our own lives. And what I mean by that is find a way to passionately respond to the energies that you see. You might like to create. Maybe you get so upset by something you see on the news or a power struggle that you see on the news that you decide to write a song about what you're seeing. I mean, it's so unusual to me, and I don't know if you've noticed this, my friends, but in the 60s, when we had a lot of people protesting anti-war movements and gender equality and things like that going on in the 60s, people spoke up and had their voices heard in public, and we had a spate of musicians writing protest songs to go along with that. What's happened to that kind of behavior? I know that the entertainment industry is run by a small few people, and they've kind of drowned out these independent voices that wanted to say something. Occasionally you'll get a band like when I was younger, the Cranberries and things like that, who have something to say of value. Maybe Midnight Oil was another one, used to sort of be very passionate with their music and a message that they wanted to share. But it really has disappeared in the last few years, when we need it perhaps more than ever, that vocalization of our passion. There was one song, and you'll know it if you're familiar with YouTube music, if you want to call it YouTube music, or people who become famous overnight on YouTube, and that's the Rich Men North of Richmond song. Fantastic song. Google it if you don't know it. It's probably the only protest song that's really come out in the last, 5 years or so. Check it out. But that's the kind of thing we're talking about with this energy. Passionately use your stirred up emotions to create, or get intense about expressing yourself in a healthy way, a way that contributes, a way that offers some vocalization to something that you are feeling strongly about. Another way you can use this energy is to evaluate your life and determine where you need to own your power again. We could all do that from time to time, and under this energy, which this is an energy that forms twice a year, it's not unusual, but it's a good time to do this, to evaluate our life and see where, I'm giving my power away and where I need to take a stand and put some boundaries in place and own my own power. You can also, under this energy, use it to revisit your deepest ambitions once again and just evaluate, are you on track? What do you need to change? What actions do you need to undertake to achieve your dreams and goals and ambitions now? These are some of the ways that we can utilize this energy to our greatest advantage, and hopefully also, as I mentioned, for the blessing of greater humanity through poetry, music, film, whatever creative endeavors we choose to use. Let's go through some dot points about this energy now, and I'm going to be breaking down these dot points and how it might express for each sign in just a second. So first of all, we might experience some sort of crisis in our life that has to do with our ambition, our desire, or some sort of crisis as a result of the misuse of power. This can be at a personal level, and remember, I'm a personal astrologer here on YouTube, but it can also be playing out in the collective in what we call mundane astrology, which relates to world events as well. So it could be quite a hairy time coming up in the week ahead. Some of us might be too attached to our own agenda now. We might be trying to force circumstances and people to come to a head, if you like, in order to get our own way, in order to, manipulating, coercing people to get what we want. Keep your karma in mind. Don't go down that road of manipulating and forcing people. We can be aggressive, stubborn, and overly persistent. Equally, we might find people being that way towards us as well. So it's a real stirring of the pot kind of energy here. Lots of power struggles, as I've mentioned, going on. An attitude of compromise and surrender is really what's needed in order to maintain good relationships now. Now, this can be business relationships, it could be personal relationships, it could be family relationships, doesn't matter. But compromise, surrender, mutual, negotiation is really the name of the game if you want to come through this week, let's call it, unscathed. Some people might actually experience, as a result of this energy, some loss of friendship or damaged relationships if you're not careful about this. We can tend to not be detached enough. Having a level of detachment is really what helps us cope with life. It's what helps us keep the emotional equilibrium and keeps the stress at bay. Being, unconcerned if it does happen and unconcerned if it doesn't. I'm talking about your personal life here. There's things we do need to get concerned about going on in the world right now, of course. But in your personal life, the more detachment you can bring to your life, especially this week, you will cope better. If you're just like, good times pass, bad times pass, it all comes and goes, and I can just go with the flow. The more you can be in that mindset, it's hard to achieve, but the more you can be there, the better off you'll be. Some of you might have trouble with arrogant bosses or authority figures now. For some of you, particularly people who have their sun at either of these points, around 29 degrees of Capricorn, give or take 5 degrees, and around 29 degrees of Libra, give or take 5 degrees. For some of you with your sun in either of those placements, you might notice that your father's health might be under pressure or struggling at this time. Or you might notice that your father or a father figure in your life might start behaving in a very domineering or pushy manner. If you're a woman, half of the people watching this are likely to be women. You could also have trouble with husbands or lovers if your sun placement in your natal chart is at either of those points as well. Not for every woman watching this, but for women with their sun in these positions, there might be some issues with your husbands or lovers if you have them. There might be confrontations and fights that are occurring frequently. This is a road rage kind of energy. You're driving down the road, someone gets out in front of you wanting to belt up the person in the lane next to them, and you're like, oh my God, what's happening here? So you might notice that sort of thing happening more in your field. It's a really good idea to avoid dangerous people under this energy. People are more fractious, more agitated, so tread carefully in all circumstances. We are also more sensitive and vulnerable now. And this is why people are more dangerous under this energy, because they're more sensitive and vulnerable, as are you. So be kind to yourself, cut yourself some slack, and tread with patience and caution as much as possible. We can experience becoming jealous and possessive under this energy, and we need to really guard against being obsessive and compulsive and controlling, as I've already mentioned. We need to really perhaps focus at this time on self-improvement techniques. Pluto is associated with therapy, so it can be a good time to focus on anger therapy, any kinds of therapeutic practices that help us get our jealousies and possessiveness under control, our manipulative behaviors, our obsessions. Inner change will come or can come under this energy now, but it will come with a struggle. But if you manage under this energy to overcome some inner struggle about yourself with all these characteristics of the negative that I've just described, and you come out on top and you manage to overcome them, the change that it brings into your life will be profound and enduring. So it is worth working on yourself under this energy, my friends. It's a good time to also engage in psychotherapy or spiritual endeavors. And this includes yoga, astrology, metaphysics, and anything to do with the occult. These are great avenues to direct your attention to this week because of this interplay of these two energies. And that said, head over to the Royal Stars Academy if you would like to. The link's in the description below. And do a jump into astrology. If you've never looked at astrology before, but you're very intrigued, you want to know about it, check out the introductory level of the Royal Stars Academy, because it has all the details we want to know to start your journey with astrology. One of the more positive manifestations of this energy is that you can have a very strong injection of charisma or leadership potential, particularly if you have your sun in either of those positions natally. You'll feel that more. We need to be very conscious of being very dictatorial in whatever circumstance these energies are playing out. Wherever Libra particularly falls in our chart is where we need to really be conscious of not being dictatorial. One of the positives of this energy is that our sex drive is increased and passions become quite intense. And this can be great, especially for those people going through, middle age or menopause and their libido sort of ebbs and flows a bit. This could really help you this week. So there's a way to use the energy to your advantage as well. Some people, if they have their sun or moon at around 29 degrees of Libra or 29 degrees of Capricorn, and you could give or take 5 degrees either side. If your sun or moon is there, some of you might experience some kind of loss in your life. Now that doesn't necessarily mean loss of a person in your life, but it could be, loss of an opportunity, loss of a possession of some description, loss of a dream that you had. There can be loss of something that results if you have the sun or moon, or even your rising degree, I should also add, being activated by this combination. If this happens, you probably will feel like life has victimized you in some way. But what we need to do, and what this energy is calling us to do, is, as I've said, be detached. It's going to be hard to be detached. It doesn't come easily under this energy, but it is what is necessary for us to learn and grow, to let things go without bitterness. This is simply the nature of ever-changing existence. We have to just learn to be detached, whatever happens, whatever comes, because that's when the Hermetic principle of balance comes into play. If we can achieve emotional balance where we're not tipped one way or the other by, the changing tides of circumstances around us, then we actually achieve a harmonious life. So one of the things we can do with this energy is aim to live with flexibility, humility, and to consciously seek to go with the flow. So now, my friends, we're going to be exploring what this means for each of us in each sign. And I'm going to start with Libra, because we find that the expression often occurs through the personal planet. This is one of the generational planets, Pluto. In fact, Pluto in each sign represents a particular generation. So on the 20th of November, we are coming to the end of Generation Alpha, and we are moving into a brand new generation that will form, probably, Generation Beta perhaps, for the people who are going to be born with Pluto in Aquarius. Very generational. The generations are defined by Pluto and, to perhaps a lesser extent, Neptune's placement also. But Pluto being generational means it's in an interplay with this personal planet, the sun. And so that's where the energy of this square aspect is expressing. So starting out with Libra, before we dive into the energy, I want to say, don't forget, if you like my forecast and you want more understanding of what is happening to you each month, join the Patreon family and learn how the moon will be affecting you for the month ahead. The link's in the description below, my friends. This is an energy that is forming very personal to you. Libran people, particularly those who have a rising sun or moon degree in the latter degrees of Libra, will feel this mostly. Where you are going to be the one who might be forcing circumstances to get your own way, manipulating people, controlling people, coercing people. Now, it'll be done in a very Libran way with a smile on your face and, charisma. But just the same, if you're manipulating and coercing others for your own ends without any graciousness or kindness to that person, then it can be perhaps a bit detrimental to your karma, Libra. So be very conscious of your behavior to others now. Libra, you might be experiencing, especially coming on the heels of the full moon in Aries, you might be now experiencing some power struggles in your life, some clashing of heads, some feelings of other people being aggressive towards you, but you need to detach and look at yourself. Where are you being stubborn? Where are you being overly persistent? Where are you being aggressive, where it's not necessarily needed for you to be so? So remember, Libra, and you're very good at this, but remember, compromise and surrender is really where it's at. Now, some of the things I spoke about with bosses and authority figures and your father figures and so forth may not be quite as relevant to you, Libra risings, but if you have sun or moon here, it may be more pertinent to you, those things I spoke about in the introduction. But your behaviors are really seen through the first house, how you show up in the world. So all the things I talked about in the introductory piece here apply to you now. Avoid being a dictator. Drive your energy into understanding astrology or doing some yoga or doing some spiritual work or doing some therapy kind of practices, art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, and explore your inner motivations now. The sun illuminates things, and in this interplay with Pluto, it's illuminating where these Pluto dark shadow sides exist in you. So like I said, this can be sort of manipulation, control, obsession, jealousy. Do the deep work. I just encourage you, Libra, to do so, because this energy can be activated for your benefit if you were to go into those things. And of course, astrology is a wonderful, wonderful tool for understanding ourselves so much more. This is also, Libra, the first house has to do with the mask that we wear, how we appear to the world. It's kind of like, I've always likened the first house to where the sun is shining through a stained glass window. Sunlight might be, just for illustrative purposes, might be sort of golden and yellow, but when it shines through a red stained glass window, the sunlight looks red coming through that window. So this is what the first house is like. It's like a stained glass or lead light window where the sunlight of our personality is shining through. So whatever planets are in the first house and any aspects being made to the first house will be the color of the stained glass that's being shone through. So the mask we wear or the light that's being shone through here has to do with Pluto Sun interactions this week. People are going to see you in this light, and that is why we need to avoid being a dictator, being jealous and possessive and controlling and da-da-da-da-da, all the things I've described in the introduction to this video. So again, we need to be very conscious. If we want people to see us in the best light possible, it's going to be hard work this week, but it's necessary to present ourselves well in the light that we really want people to see. The good news is Pluto empowers whatever it touches, and Pluto can empower you to have a lot of inner strength and self-will to present to the world how you want to present, okay? But it will require effort on your behalf. You'll have to really take a stand. So yeah, first house is what we wear. It's the physical presentation, the first impression we give. So, you might get out of bed this week and feel like, I can't be bothered, getting out of my tracksuit pants or my pajama pants or whatever. But it really behoves you to dress powerfully this week. So, you won't have to do anything particularly yourself to achieve greater in the world and to have more success in the world. Really, it's resting on your physical demeanor. And so how you dress will impact that. If you want to be seen as a power player, this is a great energy to dress like a power player, because that presence, that aura will just go along with your physical expression, because that's what's playing out here. So you can avoid actively trying to manipulate someone or trying to control them or whatever, all those things. You can avoid actually doing that kind of stuff, and you can achieve what you want to achieve instead by simply dressing like you're powerful, dressing assertively, dressing confidently. If you can put that mask on, it's a better way to use this energy than coming over as too aggressive, than coming over as too controlling and so forth. Instead, dress like you are powerful, dress like you are confident. Get out of the trackies, get out of the pajama pants, and embrace this energy as part of your presentation. And you will have much more success and moves forward than if you were just, using your personality, if you like, to achieve the ends that you wish to achieve. So I hope that makes sense to people, how we wear, the mask we have on, the clothes, the hairstyles and so forth have a great deal of impact for Libran people this week. Now, the sun is actually the 11th house lord in your house right now, Libra. And this means that some of this energy might be interacting between you and friendships and friendship groups and groups of people that you are involved in. So you will be able to impress upon large groups of people who you are and your sense of self-assertion and self-will. You'll also be very empowered to initiate new things. In the good sense, you can really initiate, for example, some new astrological understanding or use of astrology, an application of astrology in your life in some way. What's just come to me as I'm speaking about that is perhaps you start, you know astrology, you've been studying astrology for years, and you decide you're going to start offering career guidance astrology, and you're going to try and get it into corporations, your teaching, your classes, your whatever, your workshops. You're going to try and get, career astrology understanding as an activated opportunity for yourself. This is the house of initiating new things. We know Sun Pluto is actually connected to, like I said in the introduction, the metaphysical things, the yoga, occult, astrology. So by incorporating those metaphysical things and astrology, yoga, esoteric work and so forth into who you are and what you do, Sun is often connected to career and being the 11th house lord as well, where you get your rewards from. By bringing those things into, like I've just demonstrated, maybe career astrology and bringing it into your offering or something, that can actually help you achieve and succeed. And that's using the energy of this formation to your best advantage. So for those of you Librans who would like to study astrology, I've mentioned that, come join me at the Royal Stars Academy, or as I said, yoga, metaphysics, anything occult, anything hidden, tarot, numerology, all those kinds of mystical sciences will be really good for you to jump into and learn more of this week, so you can actively use them in who you are, in what you do, in the way you live your life. That's the best way to use this energy. So I hope that all makes sense. This is a combination that doing those esoteric practices, as I've just described, will also boost your self-esteem this week and boost your sense of determination and willpower to achieve as well. It'll give you a greater sense of well-being, and it'll help smooth the road of your path through life if you use this energy to those ends. Hope that all makes sense for you, Libra. For my Scorpio rising, sun or moon people, well, Pluto's sun interaction in a square aspect is exhibiting through your 12th house. Scorpio, don't forget, if you like personal forecasts that I give you here on YouTube, you're going to love the Patreon family, where I give many more, like 3 extra videos each week telling you what's coming up, particularly pertaining to the moon and how the moon is going to affect you going forward in the month ahead. So head on over to the Patreon family and join me for more forecasts. Now, Pluto squaring the sun, exhibiting through the 12th house. This is going to really illuminate where you are behaving in a controlling, jealous, possessive way, where you are manipulating other people, Scorpio. This could really be illuminated for you now, and particularly you'll be thinking back, Scorpio, on where you have behaved manipulatively in the past. You might be feeling a lot of regret, feeling a lot of sadness, feeling, just that wishing you could go back and change the way things unfolded, because maybe you took a wrong step in what you said or the way you interacted with somebody. So there's a real going over old events and circumstances that might be happening now. I want to encourage you to use this, Scorpio, to enhance your life, not to take you down the rabbit hole of poor me and I'm a victim and it's so sad and look at me now. Don't go there. That's self-destructive. What we need to do instead is say, okay, well, this is where I behave in an obsessive kind of way. or a controlling way or a manipulative way. Look at your life and do that deep dive. This is a house where looking inside the self, at your psyche, at your psychology, at understanding yourself is really encouraged. And the more you do that, the more things are going to be illuminated to you about who you are and why you behaved in certain ways. And once it comes into the light that, oh, I behave possessively because I'm really deep down scared somebody is going to leave me. Once you understand that and it comes into the light, it can be dissolved, it can be healed, it can be transformed. And that's what Pluto wants to do with this aspect. But it's hard work to face those deep emotions, the deep darkness within us. The 12th house is a hidden house where things aren't clear to us. And so these behaviors, the self-denial, the self-sabotaging kind of characteristics that we can have are not very clear, although the universe is going to be trying very hard this week to illuminate those things for you and show you to them. So have your eyes open, be a bit detached, be objective. Don't buy into the poor me and life sucks and it's so hard for me and so on and so on. Instead say, what can I learn from this? How can I change from this? How can I grow from this understanding that's now coming to me? Another thing that might happen is you might get a sense of foreboding or some omens or some signs in your life about upcoming events. Pluto is actually connected to a lot of understanding our past lives and past experiences. He's connected to past life regression work, of course, as a form of therapy, which is a great thing to do at this time this week under this energy. Fantastic, actually, to do that. But Pluto can also be a very psychic planet. It can reveal things that are coming up for you. You can get a hint of what is in store for you in the future. So do take a look around you. Notice the events that are unfolding. Notice who says something significant. Notice, what really unusual, out of the ordinary events take place. Omens like, a bird coming and landing next to you on the park bench at lunch and just looking at you or something. Well, Google, what does that magpie mean or something like that, whatever bird it was. There's omens around you all the time, giving you a sense of the future, giving you a sense of what's coming, giving you a sense of what you need to address in your life as well. So pay attention to everything around you now. This, like I said, is a hidden house, and we don't see things clearly with the 12th house. So it really requires some effort and is quite challenging to address this sort of thing. But if you work hard at it, if you stay awake, then you will see some sort of truth that will be guiding you forward into the next phase of life when the sun starts moving into your sign, Scorpio. Now, in Vedic astrology, the 12th house has to do with bedroom pleasures. So there can be a heightened sexual experience available to you this week. You might be feeling more desirous, getting in touch more with that animal instinct within human beings this week. Could be quite strong for you. You perhaps also, Scorpio, need to be very conscious of locking your car, keeping your house locked, having enough insurance on things, because this is the realm in Vedic astrology that has to do with thieves and secret enemies, people doing things behind your back. We recently, in my family, we unfortunately don't have a garage. We only have a carport, and my son's bike, his lovely mountain bike that he had, was stolen out of our carport, and it's very upsetting, disconcerting, and really makes you feel violated when this sort of thing happens. Unfortunately, it's not our fault. We just don't have the sort of house that would prevent that sort of thing from happening. But if you do, Scorpio, make sure everything is locked up tight and secure this week. Just be a bit conscious and careful about your possessions and keeping them safe this week under this energy. This house in Vedic astrology does also have to do with debts, expenses, and bargains, but I'm not feeling... Pluto is the god of great wealth. This energy does not necessarily, though, say that you're going to have a great expense or a great debt. I just don't feel that for you, Scorpio. But it would behove you to be conscious about going into any sort of debt situations that could be detrimental in the long term. Perhaps postpone any loan agreements or any kind of any obligations that you might have been preparing to make. Put them off for another week until this energy is over and the sun moves into your first house, away from this house of debts and expenses, would be my suggestion. So thank you, my beautiful Scorpios, for Sagittarius, rising, sun or moon people. Well, the energy of Pluto in a square to the sun is expressing through your 11th house. That's where you'll feel it the most. Don't forget, my beautiful Sagittarius friends, if you like my forecasts, you can get more of them each month by joining the Patreon family. That's where I teach people how to understand how the moon will be affecting you through a full moon and a new moon in each and every month. You can join me through the link in the description below at my Patreon family page. So when the sun is in a square to Pluto, expressing through the 11th house, this tells us how we need to behave in order to achieve our dreams and wishes and ambitions. Now, unfortunately, this is rather a ruthless energy. It's an exploitative energy. It's a manipulating energy. And so, in the negative, you might be attracted to the idea of behaving in a controlling, obsessive, manipulative kind of way in order to achieve your desires and achieve your dreams and ambitions. I would encourage you not to do that because it will affect you down the track for the long term. This is a cycle, Sagittarius, that plays out every year. In fact, it's the closing square of this aspect. So the sun will keep moving. Eventually it will join Pluto and create a conjunction. Then it will move on, create another square, create an opposition, create another closing square, and back to the conjunction. This happens every single year. So in a sense, there is some closing out now, Sagittarius, of your dreams and ambitions and wishes, and you might be feeling like, oh my God, I've got to get busy on this or I'm going to miss out. I've got to push this or I'm going to miss out. But act with humility, act with flexibility, act with consciousness, and you will achieve exactly the same outcome without the negative karma associated with it. Keep your interactions with others fair and reasonable and consistent. Be willing to work hard, and don't compromise your integrity just to get your way now, Sagittarius. You're wonderful, energy, Sagittarius, are very moral, generally speaking. Saggies can be very moral. They have a lot of high ethics and so forth if they are operating at the high vibrational level of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, the planet of morals and ethics and philosophical beliefs. So keep it high. Don't misuse your power to get your goals and dreams. Now, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat lately. It's driving me bonkers. This is also the placement that tells us what we need to do to effectively network. This is an energy that says you might need to muscle in a little bit. Don't stand on people's toes, but do be present. Do show up. Do make sure that you let your presence be known. It's about being assertive but not being affrontive. It might be a difficult line to walk, a balance between those two. This is also, very interestingly, the house of adoption. In some circles of astrology, they see the 11th house as the house of adoption. So if you are somebody who's looking to adopt a child, this could be quite a time where you might be having some difficulties with the authority figures in proceeding with an adoption. There might be some obstacles and hoops to jump through that the authority figures keep giving out to you. Sun ruling the authority figures and people in charge in the house of adoption, squaring Pluto, and people asserting their power. Okay, so if that's you, and I know that won't be everybody watching this, but if that's you, just know, if you can bide your time, if you can be a bit detached and move through this energy with patience, you will come out the other side and get what you need. This is also the 12th house from the 12th. And so this is sort of the loss of loss. And so in good news, Sagittarius, this interaction can mean that Pluto, being the god of great wealth, aspecting the sun in the house of the loss, and the sun's also the 9th house lord, I feel that this could be a time when you might be receiving some sort of rewards and gains, potentially some sort of help and assistance from a father figure or a benefactor as well, that helps you get rid of the losses in your life, that helps you create more gainfulness in your life. So a benefactor, a father figure might be coming to your rescue financially. Pluto being the god of great wealth with a really big, powerful sort of a opportunity that can happen, even though this is a square. Just be conscious that be aware of not being manipulated by whoever is offering you this. Somebody might come to you and say, if you do this for me, I'm going to pay off all your debts. If you go and do this terrible thing, I will forgive all charges against you or something. Be very conscious of being manipulated by these people in order to have some sort of great gain and to lose a difficult circumstance or a difficult situation. So that may happen for some of you to a large extent, or to a small extent. That may be the case. What else can I say about this? This could be really empowering you to get a new perspective and a new vision of some goal that you have, some major dream or ambition. So you might be getting some refreshing of that. Pluto is the planet of refreshment, or renewal rather, where we sort of recycle something and bring it back to the fore. So you might be recycling a dream or an ambition or a goal of some sort, usually pertaining to a career, or if it's not a career, how you would like to shine in the world. So there might even be an opportunity for a venture for you to undertake here. There might even be an opportunity for you to sort of win at something. I'm not talking about luck. I'm not talking about gambling. I'm talking about you to sort of win a contract or win a position of leadership or something like that that's not related to gambling. So this is what may be unfolding for our Sagittarius friends. Okay, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, or even Capricorn moon people. What is unfolding for you guys this week, and the most influential energy of the week, is Pluto coming from your house and squaring the sun in your 10th house. Now, Capricorn, don't forget, for more personal forecasts for your sign each month, you can join the Patreon family and learn particularly how the moon will affect you with a full moon and a new moon in every month for your sign. So join me there. The link's in the description below. Now, my friends, my beautiful Capricorn friends, this is really going to be pertinently felt in your life through some sort of crisis, perhaps, that is occurring in your career. And by career, I'm not meaning your daily job and how you pay the bills and how you earn your money. I'm actually referring to your aspirations for legacy. The 10th house has to do with what we want to be remembered for, what we want to be known for. I often use this comparison in my readings. You might be a barista by day, that helps you pay your bills. You enjoy chatting with people and making them coffees. But at night you grab your guitar and you go down to the pub, you play some music. For anyone who'll listen, you maybe, if you're old school, sell a few CDs or something. But that is the legacy. That is the career. That's the 10th house. It is what you want to be remembered for. Your music, your poetic lyrics, or whatever it is, your beautiful voice. What you do to pay the bills is 6th house energy. Okay? So just defining what career is here, very, very important. So there might be a crisis now around your ambitions, around your career aspirations. Maybe I'm thinking about Little Women here, the film and the book, where Jo writes, her masterpiece novel, and Amy, who's really pissed off at Jo, decides Jo's out at a dance, she's going to burn Jo's book. Well, there's a crisis regarding your ambition. no more book. You've only got one copy in the 1800s. It's not like you can get it back off on your computer or anything. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Be aware that this could be an energy that might cause a bit of a crisis with your aspirations or career, whatever they may happen to be. Don't be, I mean, it's easy to say, I know, but don't be too attached to your own agenda now with regard to what you're wanting to achieve in the world. Be flexible, be flowing. Hopefully no one loses a manuscript that way, but we may need to be more accommodating and more patient. You're very good at patience, of course, ruled by Saturn, but you may need to be more patient and just one foot in front of the other in a detached way, dealing with whatever comes up regarding your career and your aspirations. Something to be aware of is that this is the house of bosses and authority figures, and you, particularly Capricorn, might notice more than any other sign that there are some power struggles in the authorities in your life. You might be butting heads or clashing heads with an authority figure. You're driving down the road at the regular speed, but a cop pulls you over and gives you a hard time. And, you know, he's the authority figure in that circumstance, and you are in a power struggle, clashing heads with them. You know, they pulled me over. I wasn't doing anything wrong. How dare they? Boom, boom, boom. So there can be some very difficult and overly persistent kind of circumstances with some authority figure now. A boss, you know, somebody who is on the board of something, sort of calling the shots, and you're left frustrated. You know, you're trying to do your best and they're, you know, stymieing you at every turn. Power struggles. As I said in the introduction, it's really good to have a level of compromise and surrender if maintaining those relationships is important to you. If you can let go of your need to own something, need to have your imprint on something, then that's actually quite helpful at this time. I'll give you an example. I'm not a Capricorn, but in my work as a town planner, I have found myself working on a rural land use strategy over the last few months, which is great. I love it. It's wonderful. And we had a working title for this rural land use strategy that was kind of funky and cool and gave it a bit more engagement than just calling the project a land use strategy. Well, my authority figures in my life this week decided that the funky cool name was not appropriate and that we should instead use the general term of rural land use strategy. Doesn't worry me at all. Couldn't care less. Not attached to my funky cool title one bit. And, you know, it's just big deal. Let's just keep going. Let's do the project. The more that you can maintain that kind of approach to things where you're not precious about what happens or, you know, how things unfold, the better off you're going to be this week, Capricorn. So really try and embrace that level of detachment around your projects and work wherever possible. That way you'll avoid confrontations and fights. That way you'll, you know, remain in a good situation with your particular career aspirations. What else can I say about this? Fathers are often seen through the 10th house in Western astrology, not so much Vedic, but in Western astrology. And so for our Capricorn people, check in on your dad, because dad might be having some health issues this week, or dad might be behaving in a difficult sort of aggressive, assertive, maybe even manipulative manner. In that case, you might not want to check in on him and make sure he's okay. But knowing what's going on astrologically will help you understand any difficult dynamics that you observe with your father under this energy. So keep that in mind. There might be some clashes, some confrontations with a father figure. Now, finally, I just want to say that the 10th house has to do with the image we have to project in order to be successful. And I kind of spoke to this theme with the Libran people, Libran rising sun or moon. You need to really embrace this energy of personal assertion and empowerment in how you are showing up in the world. So even if that's not your usual style, show up as best you can with confidence, with professionalism, self-assurance, and a lot of personal assertiveness in your aura as best you can. And you will find, if you do that, that you stand to achieve more and progress more and accomplish more in your particular career field. The only thing to be careful of is in your career situation, or whatever that may happen to be, act with consciousness about your tendency to manipulate others to get your career up and running, your tendency to be obsessive or controlling about your career. Be very aware of your behavior, but equally dress to be the success and achieve the success that you want. Dress for the role you want in life. I think I saw a meme about that at some stage. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have, and somebody was dressed as Batman or something like that. But it's true in this case. Like, present the image that you want and that you need to have in order to have the success that you desire. It may just go your way and help you along that road this week, Capricorn. All right, Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, and Aquarius moon people. We are seeing the energy of the Pluto Sun square, which forms every year. This is the closing square for our year. And so, if you really wanted to go deep with this, look back at what was happening in your life when they were conjunct roughly 9 months ago. And you'll probably get an idea of what is sort of reaching its sort of closing experience now. But let's talk, because that's going to be different for everybody, so I'm not going to go deeply into that, Aquarius. But let's talk to the square aspect that's forming this week on the 22nd of October. Also, Aquarius, don't forget, if you like my forecasts, do sign up to the Patreon channel where you can get more forecasts personally for your sign every month. I do 3 extra videos on there. They're fantastic. Everybody loves them. Especially we look at the moon when it's full and the moon when it's waning new. And we look at how the moon will be affecting our lives. Very, very important videos there. Now, for you guys, this is happening in the 9th house. So there might be some power struggles regarding sort of visa matters or, immigration. If you're, you're about to become a student in a foreign country and you're trying to get your passports and things organized, this is not the week for it. You will have difficulty. So don't lodge your applications this week, my friends, for any kind of immigration purposes or visa purposes. Try and avoid this week. Give it a good wide berth of about a week or 2 before you lodge. Now, sometimes we can't help it. Sometimes we realize, oh my God, I need a visa and I haven't applied and I'm traveling to the country next week. So you might have to be prepared if that's the case. Lodge your application, but be prepared that you're going to have to jump through a few hoops and you're going to have to really be very very flexible and very compromising in order to get what you want regarding sort of immigration papers and so forth, if you have left it to the last minute now. Okay, if you are traveling overseas, Aquarius, do be very careful of dangerous places. Avoid dangerous places this week. Avoid back alleys and avoid countries where it's volatile. I know there's a lot of places in the world that are particularly volatile at the moment. We can't help that. But if you can avoid them, please do, because this combination in your sign is saying there is likely to be some upheaval, some crisis, some challenge in traveling. Not just relocation to another country, but just traveling for the enjoyment of traveling or, for a holiday or something like that. So be very careful. Also, if you're traveling, pack as much as you can into your carry-on luggage, and just put the bare minimum, if you like, into your check-in luggage where possible, because this again is a combination for some sort of crisis when you're traveling. And we all know how horrific and annoying it is when our luggage goes missing when we travel. So try and minimize the problems as much as possible by just carrying everything with you where you can. This is also the sign that has to do with the general relatives of our partner. So our partner's siblings, our partner's aunts and uncles. And so for those of you who have partners and have the partner's siblings and aunts and uncles, you might notice them behaving in more Plutonian Sun square ways. Manipulative, coercive, controlling, of you or of your partner potentially as well. These people might also could express that these people are somehow experiencing some sort of crisis in their life, some upheaval in their life. So if that's the case, make sure you're there for them, support them, love them, and be a tower of strength where possible. This is also a combination where, if you are a grandparent, the same can be happening for your grandchildren. This is a house of our grandchildren, the children of our children. And so in that sense, there might be some upheavals happening in the life of your grandchildren. If you are a loving, caring grandparent and have the capacity to do so, be there for your grandchildren emotionally, financially, physically, like be there to help your grandchildren. In Vedic astrology, this is one of the houses of the father. And so again, we can have some influence where our father might be being a little bit aggressive or dominating or asserting their willpower in a difficult way, and it can be perhaps problematic. It could also mean there might be issues with the father's health. So forewarned, forearmed, when you know this is coming up, you can sort of act as you need to and respond to that more consciously. This is the house of our partner's communication style. So if you're a married person and you're an Aquarius rising, know that your partner might be communicating in more Pluto Square Sun ways, a bit more aggressively, a bit more assertively, pushing you around verbally perhaps. Not necessarily you, but maybe other people in their life as well. They might be getting a little bit blustery, with their words and with their communication. This week, if that happens, you'll know why. This is the energy that's forming that is affecting their lives because they're married to you. In the good, this is the house of our future visions and goals, where we need to be before we attain public recognition and achievement. So you might be inspired under this energy, Aquarius, to learn something new, to undertake some sort of a high-level program. Because Pluto is an energy associated with the occult and the esoteric, it can actually be an excellent time to start some sort of occult or esoteric studies. Maybe you want to study yogic practices. Maybe you want to study Ayurveda. Maybe you want to study astrology. Come join me at the Royal Stars Academy if you do. I'd love to see you there. But this is an energy where if you are aspiring to some career, a vision or a goal that has to do with any of these esoteric things, then this is a great week to get involved in the preparatory work for that career aspiration that you may have. It is a house of perfected intelligence, and this is why, because it's the fifth from the fifth, and this is why it has to do with high level knowledge. Fifth house is the house of natural intelligence, creative intelligence. The fifth house from the fifth doubles that energy, and we have this high level knowledge here. So very much, as I said, perfected knowledge. Perfected love is also seen through this house. So, if you are in a relationship, a love relationship, and you're an Aquarius person, you might find that the desire capacity of that love relationship is enhanced greatly, because this is the fifth from the fifth. It's the house of higher love. Sort of high vibrational love is seen through the ninth house. And in some Vedic schools of thought, it's the house of marriage. The seventh house is considered to be the house of our life with our spouse, but the ninth house is considered to be the actual marriage. So if you're planning on getting married, this is quite not necessarily a good time. And for this, I wouldn't say there might be power struggles in the marriage ceremony, or about how the marriage ceremony is going to unfold if you got married at this time. But it is perhaps a good energy for planning a marriage, sorting things out, laying things on the line. Okay, I don't like this, I do like that, and I talk about marriage ceremonies, but it could be any ceremony as well. It could be any like a christening ceremony or something like that. This is the house of ceremonies and celebrations. So there might be a need to sort of plan out and, thrash things out with someone. You might find that regarding a ceremony, somebody's trying to manipulate you into doing something. Maybe they're manipulating you into getting your daughter christened and you don't want it. Well, this can be happening. You might notice this is more likely this week, for example. So we've talked about higher knowledge and learning something new, particularly in esoteric fields. We've talked about travel. We've talked about immigration. We've talked about the people related to the ninth house. But one thing we haven't talked about is the fact that this is, in Vedic astrology, the house of luck and fortune. And I'm not saying this is a combination for a lucky break or a lucky opportunity. But what I am saying is that the divine, I think, will be pulling the strings to direct you to your life purpose in a fortunate way. So it's not about winning Tats Lotto or the lottery. It's actually, it's not about even landing on your feet. It's about the future and getting guidance from the divine that's beneficial for you, for your future. So when I say that, why am I saying that? Because this here, where Pluto is coming from in an Aquarius person's chart, for the final last hurrah, Pluto in the 12th house of the angels, deceased relatives, the divine pulling the strings, making an aspect to the house of communication with God, the house of luck and fortune and future life purpose. I feel that there is some benefit unfolding for our Aquarian friends because of that. So look for opportunities, look for guidance, look for omens, because I believe they're going to be quite strong around you in the week ahead. Thank you, Aquarius. Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon. Okay, guys, we have Pluto and Sun square, the closing square that happens annually here, occurring this time, for the very final time, I might add, in the 8th house. From now on, the closing square each year is going to be happening through the 9th house and the 12th house, because Pluto will be in Aquarius. This is the last hurrah for a closing square when Pluto's in Capricorn. So the last time it's going to be affecting and exhibiting through your 8th house. This is happening on the 22nd of October. You'll probably notice it for the whole week. Now, don't forget, Pisces, if you like my forecasts for each sign, you would love my Patreon family, where I give extra video forecasts for each sign every month, looking at the full moon, looking at the new moon, and general astrology. So if you like what I give you here on YouTube, join me at the Patreon family. I'd love to see you there. Well, Pisces, this could be a challenging one, quite simply because the sun's in the house of crisis, and this combination with Pluto is an energy for crisis, okay? It brings crisis. So there could be some upheavals. There could be some, some challenges that you are facing this week with this energy. So I encourage you, be as detached as possible, live as flexibly as possible, live with humility, and just consciously seek to go with the flow however you can, wherever you can. It will help you if you can maintain that good Pisces approach to things. This is the house of other people's resources, hidden money, taxes, big investments, big business loans, mortgages, and so on. This is a combination where somebody might be getting aggressive towards you about such things, where they're manipulating you about such things. Somebody's manipulating you about some sort of hidden money. People are becoming very domineering, and you've got power struggles, perhaps with the tax department. God, I hope not. I just submitted my taxes last week. Oh, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But it may do, and if it does, I will need to just flow and go with whatever is. There can be sort of an energy here of, sort of a, maybe some argy-bargy is a word I like to use, some butting of heads about some sort of an inheritance or an insurance payout, some tax return, that kind of thing. So be aware, Pisces, that may be on the cards this week. And I'm sorry, I'm a bit distracted now because I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to happen. I can see it now. Please no. So anyhow, let's be strong and let's be flexible. This is also the house of how we share our resources and talents and our valuables with other people. How good are we at giving? Well, fortunately, with this combination of energy, usually Pisces people are very gracious and charitable because Libra is an energy of balance. And so Pisces people are very good at balancing their resources with others, sharing what they have and supporting other people with their resources. Be careful, Pisces, of not taking it too far and, leaving yourself in a vulnerable position because you've given everything away. We can sort of go a bit far with things when we've got a square aspect from Pluto to the Sun in the 8th house in this way. So whenever you're giving, whenever you are benefiting others in some way, giving to others, make sure that you consider, is there enough for myself here? Am I cutting my own throat here? Am I going to be all right and not end up on the street because I've given something to somebody else? Okay. This is, in the positive, Pisces, a very good energy for anything magical and mystical. So you might like to start learning about shamanism or psychology, Reiki. You might be very interested in learning about chakras. Great energy to join me at the Royal Stars Academy this week because you're going to be really enthused and obsessive even about these things. And so what better time to start learning astrology? Join me. The link's in the description if you want to join the Royal Stars Academy and start really digging your teeth into what astrology means for you and for your life. Great energy to do that because you'll be obsessive about it. And I must say this is probably the best use of this energy is to drive that energy of obsessiveness and, deep research that Pluto represents into these 8th house topics. The more that you can do so, the less you're going to have the tax man on your back or there's difficulty with a mortgage or something like that. The more that you can drive the energy into something positive, the better off you'll be. There's my solution right there. I'm going to get all my astrology books out and just study and research this week and drive the energy into that positive expression instead. It's also probably a great week to get a past life regression session done. Remember, I have past life regressions to work through the Wellness Hub at the at the website for Guiding Star Astrology, if you're interested in that. But not only that, maybe a Reiki session, a chakra healing session, even just a therapeutic massage is a great thing to do this week. I've been thinking about doing that myself. Totally on it. That's on the cards for me tomorrow, to work with this energy to the best of my advantage, of course. The 8th house has to do with fast changes, rapid changes, shocking events, dramatic reversals. And it also, in the positive, has to do with getting out of a rut in some way, getting unstuck. And this could happen particularly surprisingly this week for Pisces people. Remember, this is the final square for an energy that's been at play for 14 years. So where have you been stuck, Pisces, for 14 years? Where have the obstacles been in your life for 14 years? Well, that's where things might be going through some radical change and shift now. Transformation, deep inner transformation, but could also be in your external circumstances as well. Be very careful this week, Pisces. Drive carefully. Make sure you don't do anything dangerous. Avoid extreme sports this week because this is a combination for accidents and crashes and things like that if we're not being careful, if we're not being conscious. It's an energy, though, that might activate some sense of rebirth or reactivation or renewal in some way. So if there's some energy that's been the predominant energy for 14 years in your life that, that you've been challenged with, it might go through a complete transformation this week and you might end up being renewed from that challenging circumstance. So what have you been dealing with for 14 years? For me, it's single motherhood. It is possible that this week, for me, for example, as an illustration, I might be going through some sort of renewal with my role as a single mum and there's some sort of change. Maybe my children, for example, choose to step up and say, Mum, you've been providing for us for 14 years on your own. We're going to start paying rent or something. It could look like that. And I'm not saying my children need to pay rent to me, but it could look, that's an example of a renewed situation with something you've been dealing with for 14 years. And I'm using my position as a single mother to illustrate that point. But it could happen in any realm. What have you been dealing with for 14 years that might go through a renewal of how you are interacting with that particular role or energy or relationship, or whatever it happens to be? There might be a renewal of a divorce agreement for some Pisces, sort of a readdressing of some sort of divorce is seen through the 8th house, and particularly how the division of assets works in a divorce. So there definitely could be, for some of you Pisces people, an addressing of some divorce asset division that occurs, some renewal of that, some readdressing of that. Definitely an energy for sex. Hello Pisces, you might be feeling like getting it on more than ever with this, and just be aware that this is an energy of manipulation and coercion and control. It's a square aspect, so be very conscious about how you use sex. Are you using sex to please your partner? Most Pisces tend on that side. They're very pleasing in this, seek to please others sexually. But sometimes under this energy, we might be using sex as a manipulative tool, as a coercive tool, or to control others even. I was reading the most horrific story about some poor women who were kept as slaves on this man's property. Oh my God, it was just awful. But an example of yucky Plutonian shadow side influence on a sexual dynamic. So how are you using sex might be the question you want to ask yourself this week if you're in an intimate relationship. And if you can use it lovingly and for the higher good of everyone involved, then go to and enjoy, my friends. So the 8th house, very fascinating house indeed. I do hope we see the wrapping up of maybe some difficult energies, some crisis energies, some traumatic energies that have been playing out in our lives for 14 years, with this combination coming to its conclusion for the last time, my beautiful Pisces. All right, Aries rising, Aries sun, and Aries moon people. The energy of Pluto in a square to the sun is exhibiting on the 22nd of October, but probably felt all week through your 7th house. This is where we're going to notice it. And don't forget, my Aries friends, for more personal forecasts for your sign every month, you just need to join the Patreon family. You'll get so much more than what you get here on YouTube, including how the moon affects us each month. And you've just had a full moon in your sign, Aries, so it can be quite potent having just experienced that. But check out my Patreon family for more really juicy astrology for your sign. The link's in the description below. Now, Aries, a lot of what this energy represents won't necessarily be happening to you, but rather happening to the significant others in your life, your audience, your clients, your business partners, husbands or wives as well. Everybody who is a significant balancer to bring harmony to your life or disharmony to your life. And unfortunately, this is an energy of disharmony. So you might find that other people are pushing your buttons this week, Aries. They're upsetting the apple cart. They're getting aggressive. They're getting obsessive. They're, becoming very controlling or manipulative. You might notice that these people in some way are affecting your life with those, I'll call them qualities for the lack of a better word. So knowing that, the more that you can act with an energy of compromise and let's create harmony, the more you can channel that sort of energy consciously, the better off you're going to be. The more you'll be able to maintain good relationships and not destroy things. Pluto is a destructive energy, making a square aspect to the 7th house. And I must admit, Aries, this is the final square from Pluto and between Pluto and the sun that will ever occur affecting your 7th house. That might be good, but you might have been dealing with relationship issues for 14 years that have been driving you up the wall, well, this is the last hurrah. So I just encourage you to really do a deep dive to understand yourself and how you relate to other people at this time. Pluto is therapy. Pluto is understanding our psychology. The more you can illuminate your behavior at this time in relationships, and what are you doing that triggers other people's aggression? What are you doing that triggers other people to want to control you or manipulate you? The more you can look deeply at those things within you and address them now, the better off you're going to be for the next 20 years when Pluto goes into Aquarius. This is the work that Pluto has been calling you to address, Aries, throughout his whole transit of Capricorn, squaring your relationship axis. So he's been teaching many of you Aries people how to understand yourself and the dynamic of your relationship with others, often through friction, often through clashes and power struggles. So Aries, this is your chance, final chance to set things to right. Practice conscious detachment. Like, I know what's going on. I understand this is an energy. I'm not going to get drawn into this argument. I'm not going to get drawn in to this power struggle or this control or passive aggression. I'm just not going to go there anymore because I'm aware now of what is going on. This is what we're talking about. So it might be a good time, Aries, to do something of the more positive Plutonian influence with your partner or with a significant other person. Maybe you might like to go to some yoga classes this week. In fact, that'd be a great use of this energy. Go do yoga with a friend or with a business partner or with your lover. Go do yoga, or maybe you might like to study astrology together with somebody. There's nothing stopping people if they want to study at the Royal Stars Academy with me. You know, if you've got a friend who wants to study as well, why don't you both put in half the cost each and join the Royal Stars Academy together? It's nothing to stop people, utilizing it that way. And, that would be a great use of this energy. This could also mean perhaps you and a friend or a partner might like to buy some spiritual books and maybe have a reading group together, looking at some sort of spiritual, psychological books together. This is what we're talking about. Using Pluto energy for the best rather than it causing upheaval and crisis with other people. What we can do is use Pluto energy to learn with other people, to grow with other people, to experience Plutonian things, esoteric work, past life regression work, astrology, yoga, metaphysics, anything mystical and esoteric can be what you can embark upon with others. A best way to use this energy, of course. The more that you can flow and be flexible with other people now, we've kind of already touched on this, the better off you'll be, rather than being sort of aggressive, as I said. But you may be feeling more sensitive and vulnerable than usual. And indeed, your significant others in your life might be feeling more sensitive and vulnerable as well. Know that if that's the case, tread carefully. Don't go at things like a bull at a gate, Aries. Be gracious and considerate of the people in your life now, because they are going to be very sensitive. These are the main things we want to talk about. It is a house of agreements. It's a house of trade and sales and negotiation and mediation. And the seventh house represents how we need to act in business dealings at this time. Well, the one thing I'd say about this is there is a need for you to be assertive in any business dealings and any contracts. It's a really fine line, Aries. It's a really fine line between being assertive and having strong boundaries and saying, this is what I want and I'm not going to compromise. It's a fine line between doing that for your benefit and between maintaining some healthy balance with other people. So all I can suggest is to act with objectivity and detachment. Maybe, if you're so inclined, get an advisor or a counselor to help ensure that you act well. I've just had a scene from a movie pop into my mind. If you're familiar with Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, she's in a mediation session with the husband she's divorcing in one of the scenes in that movie. And he is just being obnoxious and annoying and terrible. And it's just really well acted, the whole scene. And she is using a counselor or using her lawyer to help negotiate the circumstances so that things end up more fair and agreeable. Well, this could be the kind of scenario that you find yourself in this week, Aries. Instead of, being aggressive and butting heads with somebody in a negotiation, in a contractual situation, use somebody to lean on, use a sort of a third party who's not emotionally involved or not necessarily part of the contract to help find a solution. That would be probably the best way to go around this. Otherwise, you stand to be manipulated, or you may be the one manipulating other people, which is not good for your karma. So this is some of the energy that I'm seeing. Finally, this is the house of our maternal grandmother or our paternal grandfather. Now, some stupid people, and I will say this, Aries, some stupid people on this YouTube channel who make comments on this YouTube channel, when I talk about maternal grandmother or paternal grandfather or grandchildren or some other person in our lives, some stupid people say, oh, I don't have a grandmother anymore, or I don't have any children, so your forecast was wrong. I'm like, hello, there is more. Sorry, I'm just getting this off my chest. There is more than just you out there listening to my forecast. Somebody who might have a maternal grandmother, somebody who might have grandchildren, and so forth. Maybe it's the energy of the full moon that just occurred in your sign, Aries, that it makes me so mad. How dumb are you when you make comments like that? I'm not saying it's you Aries people, it could be anyone. Just came to my mind, and for some reason I felt like I had to unburden my soul about how dumb people can be here on YouTube. It's just mind-boggling. But I know that's not you, Aries. However, back to the maternal grandmother and paternal grandfather conversation. This is the house of both of those people in our lives. And you might find that your maternal grandmother, if you have one who's still alive, or your paternal grandfather, if you have one who's still alive, then they might be acting in a Pluto Sun kind of a way. Aggressive, dominating, manipulative, coercive at this time in the shadow side. If not like that, you might find that they are actually maybe having some health issues. So check in on those people. Make sure they're doing okay. Make sure that they're not being victims of people who are manipulating them and controlling them and being aggressive with them. Okay, let's look out for the people we love. And they're the people that this energy might be representing, need to be checked in on this week in your life. Thank you, Aries. All right, my beautiful Taurus friends. Rising sun or moon. The energy of Pluto in a square to the sun in Libra is expressing through your 6th house. This is happening on the 22nd of October. You'll probably feel it for the whole week ahead. It's the major energy unfolding this week. And this is the final energy, Taurus, of this square that will be impacting your 6th house. From now on, it's been happening for 14 years in this house every year. And now this is the last one. Because Pluto's about to move into Aquarius, and the closing square in the future is going to be felt through your 7th house going forward into the years ahead for the next 20 years. Very interesting times. Don't forget, my friends, if you are into personal forecasts for your sign, then you'd love to join my Patreon family, because there I tell you what's coming up ahead for you each month pertaining to the full moon, the new moon, and general astrology. 3 extra videos at the very least for every month. If you enjoy forecasts, if you enjoy knowing how the astrology is affecting you, come and join me at the Patreon family. Links in the description below. This 6th house is the house of our physical well-being, not just our body and how it presents to the world, but how well is our body? How healthy is our body? The daily activities we do in our body. Do you use your body well? Do you care for your body? This is 6th house energy. And Pluto here is putting potentially a lot of stress on the body. So Pluto making the square aspect to the sun here. But the good news is that the sun being here will help illuminate to you where you are not using your body well, where you are not caring for your body, and where your body is struggling. Some of you might find out that you have some sort of sickness this week. But knowledge is power. When this is illuminated, you'll know, okay, well, now I need to go and take more magnesium, or I need to get some homeopathic remedies or whatever it is to heal that problem. knowledge is power. You've got to know about it before you can do something about it. And this might happen for you this week. You might be very inspired to use your vitality this week, but just be careful of overdoing it. You know, thinking, okay, I'm going to get back into jogging or whatever and get fit and get healthy. And lo and behold, you know, you're out there running and you try and do 10K run and you haven't run for 10 years and oh my God, you're a mess. So this is an energy of crisis, Pluto Square Sun. It is an energy of crisis. But I'm telling you now, so you're forewarned, forearmed, and aware. If you overdo it physically, it will cause a crisis. Go gentle, be kind. Don't feel like you've got to force it. You know, so I used to, when I was younger, I very much adhered to the idea of no pain, no gain. And I felt like I had to punish my body. What a ridiculous concept that is, that I had to punish and hurt my body in order for me to be fit and healthy. And, you know, I'm just lucky that I have Jupiter in the first house and I didn't damage myself in some of the stupid things I used to do in the name of no pain, no gain. We need to be kind to our body. It's the one body we have. We need to love our body and care for our body. Yes, it's good for our body to get the heart rate up sometimes, but not to the point where, you know, you have a heart attack because you've pushed yourself to the limit, or you get so dehydrated that you collapse in a marathon run or something. We've got to remember, like, no pain, no gain is rubbish. Kindness, to my mind, is where it's really at. And believe me, I've got the Sun in the 6th house natally and Mars there as well. I like physical activity. Physical activity feels good to me. So, you know, I'm not saying don't exercise, but I'm saying let us be kind. And you may need to activate that understanding in some way this week, because overdoing it, Pluto Square Sun in the 6th house can cause a bit of a crisis in the body. So there's got to be balance between your body and your spirit and your mind. Do what feels good to you. You know, maybe exercising for you, Taurus, might be dancing. You know, what's wrong with spending an hour dancing every evening in your living room instead of, you know, if you're not into, you know, lifting weights at the gym? Nothing. It serves the same purpose and it feels good. So think about what feels good to you physically this week, and try and incorporate that into your daily routine, and you'll be handling this energy so much the better. Pluto is also therapy. Some of you might be looking to do physical therapy or see a physiotherapist, chiropractor, maybe an alternative healer like an acupuncturist or a homeopath, naturopath. It can be very good to do those things this week, to do some sort of therapeutic practice that's physically oriented this week. Getting a massage, great thing to do under this energy. Also, Pluto has to do with cleansing, and this is the house of toxicity, and so by purging and cleansing the body, we're actually working with this energy really well. So it might be a good week to do a juice fast, to sort of go off the chocolate or the fat or the carbs or whatever it is that you feel like you need to change. I'm a big fan of good fats, but you may feel like you need to go off the fast food fat and clear the body, declutter the body, cleanse the body of anything toxic. It's a really good week to focus on that energy, lest there are some difficulties with your digestion or with what you're eating that cause toxicity. So be very conscious and aware of that. This is the house, the 6th house is the house of adversity, where we struggle and why. And I have to say, my beautiful Taurus friends, there might be some adversity this week. It could come from a soul, a figure in your life, maybe a father figure or a husband or somebody in a position of authority that might be causing some adversity in your life. Pluto squaring is causing that friction, that tension. You might find that being too attached to your own agenda in sort of a confrontative circumstance doesn't serve you well now. Remember, I said in the intro to this that compromise and surrender is needed in order to maintain lack of anxiety, lack of stress, and so on. The more you can be flexible and humble and consciously go with the flow, try and find a balance and a harmony and agreement with other people, the better. People you're in conflict with, might be sort of maybe a bit stubborn, a bit aggressive, and overly persistent. This is a house of conflict. But as I said, it's also an energy where you can be too attached to having the outcome you want, and there's just no compromise here, and that can lead to power struggles. That can lead to challenges that don't need to be there, loss that doesn't need to be there. So, you know, where we're struggling and why might be because of our own ego, Taurus. So I just mentioned that for you. If you're in a conflict situation, don't let your ego, Sun square to Pluto, get in the way of reaching a harmonious conclusion that is involving less stress and less anxiety. This is the house that has to do with the conditions and nature of your workplace. There might be some crisis in your workplace this week. There might be some confrontation or power struggles in your workplace this week. There might even be maybe some aggressiveness that you're seeing from your co-workers this week. This is and if you're an employer, it might be that your employees are being stubborn and confrontative and manipulative of you. If you're an employer. If you're an employee, you might notice the other employees around you are behaving in a manipulative way or a confrontative way. Perhaps you might notice them directing that at the boss, but it could also be that you may be a recipient of that in some way as well. But forewarned, forearmed, if you know it's going to happen, you can make conscious, wise choices at the time. It is the house of our karma. Karmic responsibility to serve, karma that we need to burn. And it's through sun energy that you can offer your service now. So, you know, you might shine at doing some sort of service. You might be gain a lot of confidence through some sort of service that you're offering the world now. The compassion that you're offering might allow you to burn karma under this energy. Very important actually for many Taurus people, because this is the final square for the last 14 years of Pluto Sun while Pluto is in Capricorn. Next month, Pluto is moving into Aquarius and will never be back in Capricorn in your lifetime. There'll be no more squares from the 6th house. So it really is time for the conclusion now of any karmic dues that we have to play. Pluto is a very karmic planet as well. So really the need to compromise, the need to serve and help and heal, the need to pay our karmic debts is very much at the forefront of this energy. So the more harmony and balance you can bring into your life in any everyday routines, any conflict situations, any work environments, any health environments, the more that you can lay these things to rest. Forgiveness is a great thing to focus on when we have an activation of the 6th house energy like this. 6th house has to do with our digestive system, and forgiveness is really helpful for digestive issues. You know, when we hold on to our anger, it's like the body tenses up inside us. We suffer, the other person doesn't suffer, we suffer. So learning to forgive, still have the right boundaries put in place, take the right actions to ensure fairness and a hopefully positive outcome. But the more you hang on to the feeling of anger instead of letting it go, the more you can have digestive troubles. So it's really good if you can work on healing that at this time. And Pluto is the god of therapy, making a square to the sun in the 6th house. The more, Taurus, that you can do therapy that helps you to forgive and release, the better. And I'm not just talking about therapy with anyone who's recently pissed you off, forgiving them. Like, where does your perhaps clinging to, stubbornly holding on to a lack of forgiveness, is that coming from a childhood incident or a childhood relationship or something? Look deep into the past under this energy. Pluto wants you to really research and get to the bottom of where some of these behaviors and patterns come from. It's about cleaning our life, purging the toxicity, not only literally physically, but emotionally as well, to get our life back on track in readiness for Pluto's move into Aquarius. The more you can do that, Taurus, the better off you're going to be for the next 20 years. You are setting things up with this final energy. You are setting things up for the next 20 years of your life? Are you going to take stress and frustration and manipulation and crisis with you into the next 20 years? Or are you going to find an end for it, find a solution for it, find some way to compromise and flow with life that allows you to move into the next 20 years with a lighter burden to carry? I know which one I would be choosing. So that's what I'm really feeling in spirit. I needed to share for our Taurus rising, sun or moon people. Gemini rising, Gemini sun, and Gemini moon people. Well, if we're Gemini, we are experiencing Pluto in a square aspect with the sun coming through our 5th house. This is happening on the 22nd of October. You'll probably feel it for the whole week ahead. It's the major energy this week. And don't forget, Gemini, if you like my forecasts and you want more forecasts for your sign, then all you need to do is join the Patreon family, where I give you so much more each month, especially looking at the full moon and the new moon and how they are affecting you every month for your sign. Love to see you there. Now, with this energy, as I've mentioned this a couple of times for many of the signs we've talked about here today, but this is the final square for that's going to be forming in your 5th house for the rest of your life between Pluto and the sun. Because for 14 years, there's been a cycle every year of the sun making a square at this time of year to Pluto. Every year. For the last 14 years since Pluto moved into Capricorn. But this is the last time. It's a closing square. It's the ending square. So never again are we going to be having this dynamic in the 5th house. So it really is the last hurrah. And in some senses, the final work of Pluto is wrapping up now. This is such an interesting placement to have been having this for the last 14 years. It is to do with children. And you may have found at this time of year, every year for the last 14 years, your children got a bit stroppy, got a bit assertive, maybe temper tantrums or stomping of the foot, might have occurred. Your children might have been jealous or possessive of you. Your children might have been a bit obsessive or exhibited some sort of controlling behaviors, might have been the case. If it's not your children, then it might have been a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Some lover that is seen through the 5th house as well might have been where this has expressed. Now, this might have turned into a power struggle, and this could be the case for the final time. But try and see beyond the external behavior, the aggressiveness, the stubbornness, the persistent power struggles or whatever that come up at this time, and see what they're telling you that you need to learn. Does this have to do with how you handle power? Does this have to do with your response to the misuse of power? Does this have to do with you being too attached to your own agenda? It's a time for reviewing those things and how they're affecting your children and how they're affecting the people that you love, what you love, who you love. So it's a really good time to engage in some kind of psychotherapy, looking deep at yourself, doing the deep Pluto dive into your psychology, maybe even getting in touch with some astrology as well to understand your behaviors and how they are impacting upon children or lovers in your life. Now, this is the house of what makes us want to be alive. It's what we love. So that's why it's the house of boyfriends and girlfriends, people we love. But it's also what we love, what makes us want to be alive. That could be a hobby that we engage in. That could be learning something. It could be singing makes us happy to be alive. We love to sing or something. Whatever it is. This is the house that represents what we love, that makes us want to be alive. And this is when we might be becoming a bit obsessive about those things. And I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, I think it's a good way to direct the energy to become really immersed in what we love. So if it's singing, you might be inspired now to go join a singing group or a choral group or record some of your own music or something, because it just makes you feel invigorated and alive. And I would encourage you to do that under this energy. What is it, my friends, that makes you glad to be alive? My friend Brandon from the Expanding Reality podcast asks each of his guests, what makes you get out of bed in the morning? What a fabulous question. What a fabulous... Oh my God, speaking of singing, and I've lost my voice. What makes you get out of bed in the morning? What makes you happy to get up And if you can't think of anything, then my heart and love and sympathy go out to you, because even in the midst of all the turmoil in the world at the moment, there are things that make it worth living. It could be that you just, for me, I love to get out of bed in the morning. The reason I get out of bed in the morning is that I'm curious. I'm curious, what's the astrology going to unfold today? What's going to happen in my environment today? We've just come into spring and all the roses are bursting and about to bloom. That makes me want to get out of bed. I want to see how beautiful the roses are going to be and smell this year. My curiosity about life and about people and about what cycle is unfolding next, that's what gets me out of bed. I'm quite happy to get obsessive about this. I'm quite happy to really do a deep Pluto dive into my curiosity for living. Now, it could be that your hobbies give you a sense of who you are, give you a sense of identity, give you a sense of pride in yourself, which is also a fifth house thing. And again, you might be becoming a bit obsessive about your hobbies. And that's quite okay, of course. Get the sewing machine out, or get those artist paints out. Enjoy the energy that unfolds positively around the hobbies that you have. What else can I tell you about this? This is in some systems, in all systems of astrology, it's the 8th house from the 10th, and therefore it represents changes, 8th house, in career, maybe even a crisis in career. So with this formation of a square from Pluto, or with Pluto I should say, forming here, it could mean a revolution in your career that is occurring perhaps for the final time. Maybe you have been spending the last 14 years defining who you are career-wise, or redefining it every year. Who am I? What do I want out of career? I don't really know. I think I need to change this. Some of you may find that this is a time this week where there is a sudden reversal in career, but it's actually for the good, because it's going to help you go more into your self-expression, more into who you really want to be. And Pluto energy is about renewal. If this is what happens this week, it's going to refresh you and renew you so that you're ready to go ahead for the next 20 years into a new career, a new line of manifestation of who you are in the world, expression of who you are in the world career-wise. So I think there could be some change on the cards for you, my beautiful Geminis, career-wise, and it will probably be a really important last hurrah leading into the future. So renovation of your reputation, reinvention of a career, or a readjustment of how you do career, that could also be on the cards. I would also suggest for Gemini people, watch out for back and spine and heart injuries this week. Pluto representing a crisis. This is the house of back, heart, spine. Sun also has to do with back, heart, spine. So, I've got back into lifting weights recently, and I'm very conscious. Last time I was into lifting weights, I overdid it too much. Unfortunately, the whole no pain, no gain thing is bullshit for me, but I overdid it with the amount of weights I was lifting, and I hurt my back and I couldn't move for properly for 6 months. I'm just getting back into being able to do that again, to do weights again. No way known am I going to lift the kind of weights and do the amount of reps that I was doing before. I don't want to injure my back or my spine again. I encourage you, Gemini, from that little story anecdote, the same thing. Don't overdo it, because guard your spine, care for your, only do like what allows for flexibility, allows for, it would be even good to go see a chiropractor or go and see a masseur or something, and honor your back and your spine. And whatever you need to do to guard and protect your heart, do that as well. This is an energy where sometimes we can overdo it, and you want to be forewarned about that. This is also the house where we can have burnout that comes from not having enough playfulness and joy and happiness. And if you're somebody who has bought into the idea that you've got to work all the time, that life is about, hard yakka, as we say in Australia, then you're not living your best life. And I want to encourage you, Gemini, it's not really a Gemini trait to do this. to sort of avoid the fun and games. You're very good at the fun and games, Gemini. But I just want to say this square aspect from Pluto can make us far too obsessive about, in the shadow side, do, be productive, and not just do things for the joy of doing them, for the sake of doing them. So you might need to consciously be aware of creating fun and joy and delight in your life. Make sure you schedule time this week for happiness and relaxation where possible. So that's what I'm seeing regarding this energy for our Gemini friends. Thank you, Gemini. Moving on now to Cancer, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, and Cancer moon people. The energy of Pluto and Sun in their final square aspect to one another will be exhibiting through the 4th house, Cancer. Now, Cancer, don't forget, for more personal forecasts, especially for your sign each month, and especially pertaining to the ruler of your sign, the moon, join me at the Patreon family. I do a full moon forecast and a new moon forecast every month for each individual sign, and other videos and special gifts, etc. at the Patreon page. I want to see you there. Love you so much, Cancer. Okay, this week, the energy coming through the 4th house is a very interesting one. And this is the final square, as I said, that is forming. For 14 years, we have been having squares on this angle, closing squares every year between the Sun and Pluto. And this is the last one, because from now on, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius next 20 years or so. And so no more are we going to be having this energy exhibiting through the 4th house. In many ways, that's good. But we've been learning something. The universe has been teaching us something about our 4th house every year for the last 14 years. So we might have been having power struggles with our family that have been going on. This is our last chance to learn from those power struggles. We might have had a parent, and you might experience it this week, a parent being aggressive or stubborn or, manipulating or controlling. What has that taught us about ourselves and our response to such behavior? If we're a parent, Cancer, we might have been very much attached to our own agenda and not flexible, not compromising with our other parent or for the sake of our children. We might have been very stubborn about such things. And there might be this might be a calling card this week to address that, change that, alter that behavior. We need to be a bit more detached and observe, okay, well, where am I being manipulative and controlling when it comes to parenting? Where am I being too assertive and not flexible enough when it comes to parenting? I'm probably way too flexible as a parent. I've never put many boundaries in place, but I'm very blessed that my children are just beautiful. I'm so, thanks be to God for that. But that's one extreme, very Pisces of me to not have enough parental boundaries. But the other extreme is too much. And this Pluto square to the Sun energy might be highlighting where you have taken things too far. Where there's difficulties in sort of pulling back. So pay attention to the lessons that are being learned in that regard. Look, Cancer energy is just a great parental energy, full stop. But you might have noticed over the last 14 years, around this time of year, there might have been a need for you to assert yourself and use your parental power in some way every year that you have had to learn to manage well. If you do a bit of a review, you'll probably see some of that. So if it's not you, Cancer, and your parenting style, it could be your parents' parenting style that might be coming up as a bit of an issue, a bit of a problem. This is also the house, if it's not parenting or your parents, it might have to do with your emotions. This is a very emotional house, and this Pluto square can really cause a lot of jealousies, possessiveness, obsessions that are very emotional obsession, emotionally possessive kind of energy that can come to the fore, and we need to be very conscious of that and careful of that. Sometimes this is also this week might be a time when you have to examine your hidden motivations. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you saying what you're saying? Look at the emotions behind what you do and what you say this week, because you might be very surprised at what is revealed about who you are and where you're coming from. And a lot of the time, Cancers have a drive for security and stability. They want belonging, they want protection. Pluto can cause a bit of a crisis where we don't feel safe, where we don't feel secure, where we don't feel protected. That's unfortunately the Pluto energy. Sometimes this can come from a partner as well, but it could just come from anyone. Our audience, our client, a business partner, just anything, anyone else out there might be causing us to feel unstable, unsafe, and lacking in security. But this is the last time this is going to happen. So how can you handle things if that should occur? How can you handle things differently? If somebody's making you feel unsafe, if somebody's making you feel like life is not secure and the rug's going to be pulled out from under you, how can you change your response to do it differently this last time, this last formation of this energy? Worth thinking about and preparing for in that regard. This is the house of our heritage, our roots, our lineage, where we're going to go back to. It actually represents the second stage of our life. Some of you watching this will not be anywhere near that. Some of you will be well immersed in the second stage of life and where you're going back to. Pluto wants to illuminate something regarding your roots, your heritage, your lineage, and where you're harking back to. Maybe this could be a time when there's some skeleton in the closet that's revealed, some secret comes out, something about your ancestry is illuminated, and you have to readdress that situation, readdress that old chestnut in the family that comes to light now. The fourth house has to do with endings. You don't often hear people talking about that, but it does. And not that this is a time when life's going to end. That's not what this transit's all about at all. But there's something that's coming to a conclusion. There's something that's coming to an end, particularly something that maybe began about 14 years ago, Cancer. What was starting for you 14 years ago? I started my journey as a single mum. I'm not a Cancer person. I do have 3 planets there, but I started my journey as a single mum. And maybe if I was to take this for my scenario, it could be that 14 years ago, started my journey as a single mum. Maybe that's coming to an end now. I don't perhaps have to do it alone anymore. And that's certainly been the case this year for me in marrying David. But that's an example. What were you doing 14 years ago that now is ending as Pluto reaches the final degrees of Capricorn and makes his final square aspect, closing square with Pluto? Domestic life is represented by the fourth house, as is real estate and residences, home, property, gardening and farming, and fishing also are fifth house things. Now this, if you are selling a home, you might encounter a bit of argy-bargy, a bit of aggression, nagging, is that a word? There might be some nagging over the price that somebody wants to pay for your house. Equally, if you're shopping for a home, you might be negotiating in an aggressive way over the price of a home you want to purchase, or any renovations. Maybe you have, look, this is probably not a good time to sign a contract with a builder. I wouldn't be, because you're likely to find that there is something underhanded and manipulative going on. You'll probably find that if you sign a contract with a builder to do some reno work now, that the builder will rip you off, manipulate you, do things behind the scenes, Pluto Square energy. The builder mightn't do a good job and cut corners, that kind of thing. So property renovations, fine if you want to do them yourself. Might come up against a few obstacles and challenges in doing so, but like maybe you can't find the right nails that you need for the job or something like that. Those sorts of issues might come up if you're doing something yourself. But hiring someone a bit, don't do it. Don't do it this week. Wait till a week or so till the energy's over and the sun's very well into Scorpio, and then hire your builder, because you'll be less likely to experience being ripped off or conned because of this. This is also, the fourth house has to do with any fixed assets as well. So I've talked about home renovation. Fourth house, I have found, very strongly correlates to vehicles a lot of the time. And you might be finding that, it's not a good time to get a vehicle fixed. It's not a good time to buy a vehicle. It's not a good time to sell a vehicle. Wait till, as I said, the sun is well and truly into Scorpio before you deal with any fixed assets like boats, cars, motorbikes, trucks, and that kind of vehicle assets and that sort of thing. The external blockages that we have to success in life are actually associated with the fourth house. So in good news, Cancer, if you've been trying to achieve something for the last 14 years, but it feels hindered, this is why Pluto has been squaring your fourth house of the blockages to success for 14 years. In good news, Cancer, this is the last time. Pluto next month leaves this square aspect and will never square aspect it again. You are more likely, going forward in the next 20 years, to have success, to have a rise in recognition and so forth, because this is the house of what blocks success, what blocks recognition. And Pluto is no longer going to be making that hard aspect. So the blockages leave. So that's some good news that I have to share with you regarding this. It's the realm of the chart that has to do with our mother as well. And if not a mother, it can be a mother figure. So for many of you Cancer people, check in with your mum. She might be having some health issues now, and you just want to check that she's doing okay. Or if you've had a controlling and manipulative mum, those buttons might be getting pushed again with this energy unfolding this week, Cancer. So just be careful of a mother trying to run the show, or be stubborn about her own agenda in life and so forth. That can also come out of this energy. Leo rising, Leo sun, or Leo moon people. Well, the energy of the Pluto square to, and I say Pluto square too, it's really the sun square to Pluto, but it's the final closing square between the sun and Pluto that we're ever going to have in these houses. We've had it there for the last 14 years, annually, every year, never again. From now on, Pluto square to the sun will happen annually in, for a Leo person, the fourth house and the seventh house. So this is some good news because we're wrapping up all the lessons Pluto wanted to teach us this week. And this will be felt on the 22nd of October, but also likely to be felt the whole week. It's quite a potent energy, this one. Don't forget, my Leo friends, for more personal forecasts from me each month, just join the Patreon family. I talk about the full moon for each sign. I talk about the new moon for each sign. I talk about other very important things that pertain to your sign and your astrology in other videos. You would love the Patreon family if you love astrology. I'd love to see you there. Links in the description below if you're interested. Okay, so here in the third house where this energy is playing out for the final time, we might be feeling very restless this week, very niggly, not able to sort of settle down. We can't find our comfort. Comfort eludes us this week because of this square from Pluto and the sun. Usually we enjoy the regular routine of our lifestyle. This week we're just out of sorts with it, okay? We might be feeling a level of anxiety, dread, mental frustration. This can be a hallmark of this combination of energy. We can also be very, even if we're not exhibiting it personally, in our mind, we can feel really frustrated, really stubborn. We can be very stuck in our mental approach to things. It really is better if we can be flexible. And so keep that in mind. If you can detach and observe yourself and say, oh, hang on, that conversation, I was very aggressive, or I was very refusing to acknowledge the opinion of another person. If we can see that in ourselves, then we can actually do so much better. But it's not easy to do, to detach and observe our communications and interactions with other people and where we let ourselves down or fall down in some way. An attitude of compromise, an attitude of communicative surrender is needed this week more than ever, Leo. And I say that to forewarn and forearm you. You know, as a Libra moon and a Pisces rising person, I probably too much compromise and surrender in my communications with other people. But it's not a bad thing to practice this week, Leo. It's not a bad thing to sort of graciously let people have their say, walk away in order to maintain a good relationship. Being aggressive, you know, in an email or aggressive in a comment online, and being pushy, pushing our agenda, pushing our perspective in some kind of communicative mechanism on social media or something, it's not going to serve us well. It's not going to serve us well. I've had an example of that occur in my life recently, and it's really off-putting. It's not a good look, and we want to avoid doing that because it actually doesn't help our cause to be too attached to our own agenda, to not be able to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, to not be able to understand the perspective of another. Now, I could get into hot water by expanding on that, but I'm not going to. Just note that there can be some power struggles in your communication this week, my beautiful Leo friends. Remember, compromise, surrender, recognition for the different journeys of different people, and recognition of the different astrological wirings that other people have is essential. This is, you know, we're all different and we're all meant to be different. It gives life on earth color. It's the rainbow of personality types and approaches to living, and that can be beautiful. I think the only thing we need to remember is love and equality. You know, to seek love for everybody, including ourselves, to seek equality for other people, including ourselves. That's really the ultimate, and that's really the aim. But yes, other people have different perspectives, other people have different approaches, but if we're all looking for love and equality in the world, it would be a much better place. Let's not go down that road too much further. What else can we say about the third house? Well, we might be having some power struggles with siblings or neighbours. Now, even relatives, aunts and uncles, you know, we might be butting heads. They might be very stubborn about their particular perspective on something, and we aren't backing down either. Know that can be the case. So again, we've got some argy-bargy, as I like to call it, going on there. You're probably going to feel, Leo, more sensitive and vulnerable to the things that those people groups say to you, you know, the neighbours, the relatives, siblings, and you might be triggered now by those people and what they say to you because you're feeling sensitive, because you're feeling vulnerable. Equally, you might be feeling very much that you need to protect those people in your life. Somebody runs your sister down and you step into the ring. You're not going to let that happen. So we can be very, just having a real fighty, as my kids used to call it. I'm feeling fighty, mummy. Fighty attitude over something to do with a sibling. As I said, this is a restless energy. It probably would be good to use that energy to go for a run or a jog or a ride or go for a drive to a nearby town and get that restless energy out of the body. We could perhaps feel a little bit better if we do that. The third house has to do, as I just alluded to, with bravery, because in our mind we want to be protective under this influence. So we might step in where ordinarily we wouldn't go because we want to stand up for our truth, or stand up for a sibling or something like that, or stand up for a friend. But remember, this is a difficult energy. So aim to be flexible, aim to be humble, even while you're drawing the line and putting a boundary in place. This is the house, the third house, Leo, is the house of some self-made wealth or running your own business through utilizing your skills or talents or knowledge to create money for yourself, to have a business for yourself, Leo. And for 14 years, Leo, you have been building on this energy of the aspect that Pluto is making here to your third house. So some of you might have completely refreshed or renewed or renovated a small business, or how you're making money with your own talents and abilities. It might have even started a business over the last 14 years, Leo, that as a result of this energy and its combination. But now there might be something calling you to address some aspect for the final time of your business, or the talents and skills that you have that you're using, so that you can tweak it for the final time. You can make some sort of final adjustment to a small business, to the money that you make. And if you're feeling inclined that way, I encourage you to utilize this energy for that purpose. Can actually be a good idea to make changes now, as you prepare for Pluto to stop aspecting this area of the chart in a negative way, and to start taking on some more positive aspects when he trines Libra. That's going to be a great time, the next 20 years. A small business might grow more, might flourish more, but that's coming up for the next 20 years. Right now, this week, you might find that there's some refining that needs doing. You need to renovate a business, need to renovate the skills. And by renovate, I mean make any changes and adjustments, plan for the future. You might need to maybe get a certificate in some skill set that you're utilizing for business. You might need to expand your skills and knowledge in some way. This is the chance to make some adjustments and tweak and improve things. So take the opportunity, if that presents itself to you, Leo, I should apologize, to do such things. It can be an exciting time, a time of learning, a time of growing, a time of doing some workshops and upgrading your skills, and I would encourage you to do so. On a final note, Pluto is a very esoteric, mystical and magical energy. You might be very interested in learning, Leo, about the Plutonian things, the astrology, psychology, esotericism, doing a deep dive and researching into those things. I'd encourage you to do so under this energy. It's a good use of this energy for the positive rather than the negative. Thank you, lovely Leos. And at long last, Virgo rising, Virgo sun, and Virgo moon people. The energy of Pluto and Sun in their final closing square ever in your life in Capricorn is forming this week. You'll probably notice it around the 22nd of October, and it's going to be particularly pertinent. You'll feel it all week. So this is a very interesting combination that is a last hurrah of this energy with Pluto. Don't forget, my beautiful Virgo friends, that for more personal forecasts from me all about your sign, you can join the Patreon family, and I give you a moon report, full moon, and a new moon report every month, all about how they're affecting you and your sign, as well as so many other goodies. I'd love to see you there at the Patreon family if you're interested. All right, so this energy is playing out through the second house. And the second house really at the core has to do with how we value ourselves. How worthy are we? And when we have this square aspect forming, it's really asking us, Virgo, to address how worthy am I? Am I deserving of the good things in life? Am I deserving of all the resources that I need for a successful life? And if you can use this energy to do a deep psychological dive into the question of worthiness, you are actually going to be really, sucking the marrow out of this particular energy, that what you need to learn most, what Pluto's been trying to teach you here for the last 14 years or so. Worthiness, how worthy are you? So what this is saying now is, you have a chance to transform how worthy or unworthy you're feeling, and take it up to a really high level. And the more that you feel worthy, the more you can attract good things into your life. Another thing that the second house has to do with is what resources have you got that create success in your life, or that you can use to create success in your life. And this is the house of natural skills and abilities that can help us get what we want. Pluto now might be showing you to some really fabulous skills and abilities that you haven't even realized you had, that you didn't even know you had. So it's not that this is a hidden house. We know what's in the second house. We're looking forward from the first house to the second house. We know what our skills and talents are, but how to use them, that might have been hidden from us. Pluto Sun wants to empower the understanding of how we can use our skills and talents. It wants to illuminate Sun energy, how to use our skills and talents to make more of our life, to create more resources. So you will probably be having revealed to you this week, Virgo, some way to use your natural talents and abilities to your betterment, to create a better life for yourself. What do you really want to own? This is the house of our stuff, our resources. Well, make a list. What do you wish you had that you don't currently have right now? It's worth knowing what these things are. It's worth creating a vision board. But be aware that this is an energy this week that can be challenging, because you might be, some of you, Virgo, not all of you, might be behaving in an aggressive way to obtain those things. So it's worth knowing what it is that you're aiming for. Then you can use this energy for that purpose. But also be aware that in your going after material goods, you want to be very aware and conscious of where you're misusing power to get what you want, where you're forcing your own agenda on a material level, where you're being overly aggressive. Now, Virgo isn't usually inclined this way, but this energy can bring out that behavior if it lies latent within you. So, for example, you go to an auction and you're aggressively bidding to the point where you lose all concept of what money it is you're spending. And by the time the bidding's over, oh my God, now I owe hundreds of thousands of dollars for this item that I've bought. What was I thinking? You get carried away. You get obsessive over the desire for some goods, some product, something, and you spend too much money, or you get too caught up in the energy of ownership of some resources. This is just a forewarning for armed. If you're planning on making a big purchase, I'm not sure that this is the best week to do so. To purchase some big item like a car or a boat, or a piece of jewelry or something like that. This is perhaps an energy where you get carried away with it and lose all proportion, lose all sense of what's it really worth, what's it really valued at. Pluto's a god of great wealth, but a square aspect from Pluto, we spend too much. This is the house of spending. We spend too much. So this is for warning, for arming you to be conscious. Maybe ask somebody else to accompany you to that auction or to go shopping with you so that you don't overdo it. So that you tell them, I don't want to spend more than XYZ. Make sure that I pull my head in when when the things heat up. So, what do you want to own? Know what that is. Also, know what your limits are regarding resources so that you don't take things too far. What do you need in life to make you feel stable and secure? Some people don't need much. I mean, a lot of Sagittarius people, they just throw caution to the wind and away they go. Wouldn't it be lovely to be like that? And then there's others of us who feel like I've got to put roots down, I've got to have a bricks and mortar home, I've got to have this, that, and the other to feel stable and secure. What do you need, my beautiful Virgo friends, that makes you feel life is stable and secure? Pluto is an energy of doing a deep dive, of researching something, and it might be worthwhile looking now not only at how you value yourself, but look at what it is that makes you feel stable and secure. What do you need in life? And this is, I'm not a Virgo person, but this could, I should address this myself. What is it that you need in life that will make you feel like life is stable and secure? Do you need a reliable car? Do you need to have a roof over your head, or are you happy just to see where you land? Do you need to know that there's, food for the next 3 months stored up in the pantry? What is it that you need to make you feel like life is stable and secure? Pluto is going to make you want to research that and perhaps put some new efforts, because the sun is our energy, put some energy into creating that sense of stability and security that's going to make you feel more stable. this is the house of food, and do be careful what you eat. Pluto does have an energy of toxicity about him, and a square aspect from Pluto to the sun. Maybe you eat something hot. Sun is hot energy, and it doesn't agree with you. You feel uncomfortable. That curry went the wrong way. This is another thing. So be careful what you're eating. Be careful how you're eating as well. Because sometimes we're eating funny and we get something caught in our throat. So just be careful with this square aspect. It is an energy of crisis, and it's exhibiting through the house of food and what we eat, how we eat, where we eat even as well. That's really all I'm feeling into for the Virgo energy this week. This has been a long video, my friends. It's been such a delight to come and tell you all about this final last hurrah of Pluto and the Sun. And I, for one, am looking forward to the shifting of the gears, the changing of energy that's coming in with Pluto moving into Aquarius next month. But I hope this helps you get through the final square between Pluto and the Sun.